call to roll, please. Vince?
Yep.
Steve?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Orlo? John? Here, Chief Waller.
Is Arlo, do we know if is he absent? We don't know.
I heard back from him and he said the date looked good for him, so he may show up.
Maybe he had it on his calendar and forgot like somebody else did at the last one.
Lucky you're here, otherwise we'd be in trouble.
The calendar that I have right there, next to my desk.
I'll give you this packet in case it shows up. It's got the same stuff that I gave you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, second item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for the last meeting. Steve has those out and they were mailed to you?
Right?
Better late than ever, right? All right, I'll make note.
Oh, sorry.
As far as the minutes from last week, after proofreading them, there's a few changes I'm gonna make, and I'll submit them to the city once the corrections are made. 3A, there's a date in there of January 1st. I have 2020, it should be 2021. And then in 3A, parent 2, I'm gonna add an S to meeting for meetings, and a D for scheduled for January 12th, 2021. And those will be submitted tonight yet, or emailed tonight. And with that, I make a motion to accept minutes.
Motion second. Motion made and looking for a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Third item is the report from the chief of police.
Yeah, so we're here tonight to, look at candidates. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Just want to give you an update in reference to personnel. So Gary Durkee, many of you know Gary Durkee, he's retired. He retired last Monday after 29 years with us, so obviously we wish him very well and success in his retirement. So that's really all I have for a report since the last time we met, because we met relatively recently. So unless there's any other specific questions before we go into closed session.
And at last meeting, there'd be like a formal ceremony for promotions and then the new hire. Do we know when that would be?
Yeah, I don't have a date set yet. It
Okay.
kind of depends on when we do the hiring, so, but the promotions are through, but we'll have a formal ceremony together for the promotion and the hiring at the same date, and I'll send out invitation to everybody.
So we're gonna get an email on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there anything else for your report?
I don't think so.
Okay. Item 4, adjourn.
Maybe I should just, hang on. So I don't know if you caught the council meeting last night. There was the discussion on the future of the communication center. So last night they did vote to continue with the communication center here. But then after the vote was taken, there was some discussion and they put it back on the agenda for an action item at the next meeting. So the next meeting, I believe, is the 23rd, 24th, 22nd in there. So it will be on the agenda again. So it sounds like it may come up for another vote or further discussion because it's on as an action item again. So just be aware of that. A lot of things going on in reference to that discussion. Some important financial and personnel decisions, but the financial implications for the city are enormous in that decision. So just kind of stay tuned with that, I guess. If you got any questions that you want to talk about, certainly stop in and I can address those individually, but that's kind of where we're at right now. That's it.
The police commission, as a commission, is to be aware of it, but we're not involved in any decision making.
Correct.
Gotcha. Any questions for the chief?
I would just commend him for all the research and work he's done on that issue and will continue to do on that issue, because I think you've really focused some attention that has to be on it. And hopefully the council and the citizens understand the implications of whichever decision is made,
Yeah, thank you.
because there are huge implications. But I think you've probably taken quite a bit of the energy from people
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah,
But I appreciate that you brought it up and got it focused. Has to be dealt with.
yes, it does. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Is there any way that cell phone calls can come to our dispatch with the upgraded equipment or not?
Yes, yep. You can't really purchase a upgraded 911 system without that ability anymore, because 70% of all phone calls to emergency, services are made through cell phones now.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get that new upgraded next generation 911 system, it's gonna come with that. So with that comes a whole bunch of other implications. That means you're going to receive more phone calls than what you currently do. That's gonna put a stress on your already stressed one dispatcher that's working. And the cost of that is about $160,000. And just for that one piece of equipment, and that's good for about 6 years. And on the 6th year, you're gonna have to replace it. That's the national standard when it comes to that equipment. So, and the annual maintenance cost on that is about $14,000 a year. So that's a significant piece of equipment and a significant piece of the discussion here. We will end up taking cell 911 calls from any cell phone that bumps off our towers. So you theoretically could be taking cell phone 911 calls from Winnebago, Green Lake, Fond du Lac County, surrounding area, not only in the city of Ripon. So that's gonna double, probably double the amount of calls coming in on 911 emergency calls. So that's a huge consideration that we have to make.
Right now, you only have one dispatcher working at a time.
Correct.
So if they have a call right now and another one comes in, how does that get routed?
They put it on hold. Yeah, and some of the other implications are that with, so if I have a dispatcher that's taking an emergency call, for whatever reason, and now the phone rings again, she's forced to put that person on hold and answer that other call. We also have some considerations, some state mandates on medical dispatching that have to be addressed. Right now, if a call comes in for, let's say, a heart attack, we have to be able to supply CPR instructions for that. However, our dispatchers are not trained in that medical pro QA, so they transfer that caller to Fond du Lac, who starts beginning instructions with the caller while they dispatch emergency services.
I would imagine there's probably some liability involved in all that then?
There certainly is. Yeah, and the national standard really is 2 dispatchers, because if you think about it, even if we got them trained on the medical pro QA element, they're picking up that 911 call, having to give instructions, having to page the ambulance, having to get officers en route all at the same time. And, for one person to handle that is could be potentially problematic. So those are all kinds of issues that we need to figure out and decide what we're gonna do, and we'll see how the next meeting goes. But I already started today on figuring out how we're going to, if it remains the way the vote is now, how we're gonna pay for some things this year yet, because coming down the road in the fall of 2021 here, Fond du Lac County's going into a whole new CAD, computer-aided dispatch and records management system upgrade. So that forces us to train all of our people, get an updated computer system in there to be able to support that program, and all those things have to happen before fall. So their decision needs to be done here pretty quickly.
One person changes their mind on the council, 4-4, then it goes to the mayor, right?
Yep. And he would be a tiebreaker.
Assuming the discussion we're having right now has already been given or had with the council. and-
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just stay tuned. I just, bring bring it up because it certainly will change our operational processes either way. If it stays or if it goes, it will change how we operate. So that's the reason I bring it up to you.
Or if it stays the way it is, what would be some major changes that you could see?
Well, we would have to address how we page ambulances. We're gonna have to address the training issue for our dispatchers as far as the new software and new programs that are coming. I would probably move to get some type of communications supervisor, not a new hire, but make one of those current employees a supervisory role to help with quality control issues that we're facing, scheduling, training, all those things that right now I'm responsible for. I think to have somebody that does that every day in that position, to be a supervisor and keep that quality control there, I think would be an asset for us, so that's gonna have to happen. So those are some of the things we're gonna deal with. Yeah, it's a major issue for us, so stay tuned.
Yeah.
Item 4, adjourn to closed session of the Wisconsin Statutes 19.851, parent C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, in reference to interviewing police officer candidates tonight.
We'll just give them a couple